It's time. What's going on, beautiful people? I'm the Grandmaster, and I also go by D.Rey. Bringing guys the team builder for week number 2 of the BBR, where your SoCal Annihilation take on Mephisto, coach of the Nice Jinx. If you're excited for this week's matchup, do me the massive favor and rage fist that thumbs up button. And if you're new, por favor, hit the subscribe button. Turn on post notifications, hit the bell button so you get notified every single time we post a new video. The small amount of time it takes for you to hit the like and sub button really truly does help me out a lot, so please just check if you're subbed. I want to take a moment, y'all. I really I'm so grateful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We did it. The Sanctuary made it, man. We did it. 1,000 subscribers. I am so thankful.
Fine, just go crazy for a little while. Looking good. You're looking good.
Thank you. 1,000 subs. It blows my mind 1,000 people hit that subscribe button. It's this is a hobby of mine, and for it to hit this milestone is it feels good. It feels real good. So thank you so much to every single one of you. Leave a comment down below. Tell me how your day went. I'm speechless. I'm so grateful. Thank you so much for 1,000 subs. I don't know where this channel is gonna go. I don't know how far I can go, but I'm appreciative of how far we've come. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Today's a team building video for this week's matchup in the BBR. Basically, this is a draft league. For those who've come for the very first time, I recognize that there are a lot of brand new people to Pokemon, a lot of brand new people to draft league. Today, we're going to discuss the actual matchup for the game for this week of the GlitchhxCity Battle Royale. The matchup is a draft league format. Mephisto has a team of Pokemon, and I have a team of Pokemon. We both basically have the information of who has what. And it's our job to construct a team based on the information given to bring a team of 6 Pokemon that we believe will give us the best chance to win in a 1v1 6v6 matchup. And so today we're gonna talk about what we thought we're gonna bring, why we're gonna bring it, all that fun jazz. So if you're good to go, it's morning time. I still got that morning voice. I got my coffee. If you guys are got your snacks ready to go, pull up a chair, get your popcorn ready, and hit the lights. That's the vibe right now. Welcome back, beautiful people. We're here. We're in the team building portion of this week for the GlitchhxCity Battle Royale. I once again forgot to request a blank slide. So now you see our very first Pokemon up front. But right above our head is the matchup. Very top right hand corner is the Nice Jinx. Our team is right above our head. So on the channel a couple videos ago, you'll see a team breakdown of why I drafted what I drafted. But that's the team that we have to bring against Mephisto. The Nice Jinx has the team consistent of Houndstone. And yes, I know there's going to be a lot of questions. Houndstone is allowed to run the move Last Respects. In Draft League, it actually isn't as good. In our opinion, it's actually been put into practice many times in other leagues. And so from the data collected, when your team has the ability to have the information to know that Houndstone is coming, and all you need to do is just simply being a normal type or some really bulky dark type counterplay, if you will, it's a little bit more manageable. It's not as broken as it is in OU 6v6 singles. So yes, Last Respects is indeed allowed. He paired off Houndstone with Tyranitar. Tyranitar is a fantastic rock and dark type Pokemon with the ability Sandstream, which basically summons a sandstorm upon entry of the battlefield. Great rock type Pokemon, and rock types do get a buff in the sand. They do get a 50% boost to their special defense, which makes Tyranitar even bulkier. Great pseudo legendary Pokemon. He has the Paradox Pokemon Sandy Shock. Sandy Shocks is a ground and electric type, gives him access to, I think, Spikes and Stealth Rock. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I don't think the Sandy Shocks comes. Very fast, base 101 speed. He's got another pseudo legendary in Salamence. So Salamence, I do believe comes, I think Salamence goes buck stupid nasty in this matchup, so I do have to prepare for that to come out. So I dedicated a whole Pokemon to not get swept by a Dragon Dance Salamence with Moxie. That Pokemon can steamroll easily, and if I'm not careful, we can auto lose to Salamence if it's on the right part of the matchup, if he can position it correctly. He's got Toxapex. Toxapex is, in my opinion, much worse in this generation than it was in Gen 8. Gen 8, it was actually a very good Pokemon, but with the water type nerf losing basically every Pokemon except for Volcanion, that isn't even it's not even available yet. But every Pokemon essentially lost Scald, and they gained Chilling Water. They traded out the hot water for the cold water, I guess. I don't know. But Scald is an 80 base power water type move that is got a 30% chance to burn. So it actually implements a status ailment. Chilling Water does not. Chilling Water is much weaker. I think it's base 60 off the top of my head. I can't remember completely, but also 100% of the time drops the attack power by 1 stage. The difference is that the status ailment is permanent unless you have a cleric, and unfortunately in this game there are no clerics, so that's probably one of the reasons why Scald left. If you get hit by Chilling Water and drop your attack power by 1 stage, you can simply switch out, switch back in, and then it recycles the attack, so you get it back. So it's not as good. He's got Bronzong, Great Steel, and Psychic type Pokemon. Has access to Levitate to remove one of its weaknesses to ground. It also has Heat Proof, which gives it a little bit of a extra bulk in taking fire type attacks from being a steel type. Very good Pokemon. Gets Stealth Rock, very bulky Mon, gets Trick Room. He also has Espeon. Espeon, very fast evolution psychic type Pokemon. Doesn't really get much coverage for steel types. I believe it did lose Mystical Fire, but great screen setter. Great magic bounce user. And if you look at his team, that is his only form of hazard control. So I do think that the Espeon does come, or else he basically loses to Stack. And my team is basically built around Stack and screens, which you actually haven't brought yet, but we gotta start bringing that. Cloyster, I don't think Cloyster comes, although on paper it does look pretty nice. I don't see where he sets it up, but it could be something that he does, but we didn't plan for Cloyster. I don't think that Cloyster has much merit here. I know that Cloyster was drafted because he thought that it got Rapid Spin, but it doesn't. So offensively, it can go kind of nasty, but I failed to find an opportunity for it to do so, especially if I were able to get screens up. Spoiler alert, I didn't bring screens, but it seems as though this matchup, it looks like who's going to get the screens up first is going to win. So I don't think that he brings Cloyster. I think that his sweeper of choice is going to be that Salamence, in my personal opinion. When we did some mocks, shout out to Dell, who was a fantastic mock partner this week. He didn't bring Cloyster either, so I don't think that Cloyster is a thing, to be honest. It could definitely catch me off guard. He's got Lucario. Lucario is good fighting and steel type Pokemon, very good offensive. Lucario is actually his Terra captain. His Lucario can terrestrialize into a normal type and can also terrestrialize into a steel type. So very, very threatening. We do have to keep that in mind. So he can get those normal type stab, terrestrialize, extreme speeds off, bullet punches for steel typing. Very good Pokemon. It's very hard. It gets access to Justified to boost its attack power if it gets by dark type, and that's very important to know because we do have 2 dark types on our team. We decided to go double dark, which is actually a really cool archetype. I really dig having 2 dark types, but we do have to be careful there. He has a Doug Trio also. Doug Trio can run Arena Trap, so that is available to him. I don't think that it comes. I don't see how he fits it. I think if he really fears Chi-Yu, I think he may bring Doug Trio, but in my personal opinion, don't tell Mephisto this. All he needs is Tyranitar. Tyranitar, if quite frankly, I think in my opinion is like the best Chi-Yu answer, which is unfortunate. We're 2 for 2, or where Chi-Yu kind of gets stopped a little bit. Again, the format is different in OU singles, on the Smogon format, and Draft League, it's just not the same. It's a different format. It's a counter team format. You know what's coming, so you can prepare for it. Chi-Yu unfortunately gets hard walled by Tyranitar. We're not gonna bring it, spoiler alert. I could run like a cheesy set, The cheesy set that we kind of thought about was like a Will-O-Wisp Ruination set where we can burn Tyranitar on the switch in and then kind of wear it down every time it wants to switch in with Ruination by taking 50% and eventually get it to the point where I can knock it out with another move. But then Chi-Yu doesn't do what Chi-Yu wants to do. You know what I mean? Chi-Yu wants to come in and click a button. Chi-Yu wants to come in and literally do damage. And if you pull up calcs, Chi-Yu's flamethrowers and dark pulses do like 13% to a Spadef Tyranitar. That's not even with an assault vest. So we're gonna leave Chi-Yu on the bench this time. Unfortunately, our highest paid team member, one with the biggest contract, is gonna sit on the bench this week. He also has Venomoth. Venomoth is here to sweep. I don't know what Venomoth does. I think Venomoth is better as a Terra Captain, but it's here. Get access to Quiver Dance, so he's got Quiver Dance sweeping potential. He's got Shell Smash sweeping potential. He's got Dragon Dance sweeping potential with both Tyranitar and with Salamence. So very threatening squad. Pretty cool build to build together. I think that he's got to make some changes for some hazard control. I think that he actually at this time already traded Venomoth for Oricorio to get him defog because MV ended up dropping it for Flamigo. If that information hasn't been released, I'm sorry for spoiling it, but he needs a defog, so it's cool that he actually went out and did that. But let's talk about the team. So very first Pokemon that we have here is Lycanroc. Officially, I can say before we get into this, after today's matchup, every single Pokemon on my team over the course of 2 weeks has come to a game. They've all suited up and they're all ready for war. So I've used all my Pokemon, which is really cool. I didn't realize that. I didn't do that on purpose. It just happened to work that way, which is really cool, in my opinion. Lycanroc Dusk. So I only get one form, right? I get the Dusk form. It gets access to Tough Claws, this form does, which gives you a 30% boost to all moves that make contact. And that's basically everything on Lycanroc's moveset this week. Stone Edge does not get the Tough Claws boost, but it does get the Stab boost, which is 50%, so it's a little bit more than 30. Psychic Fangs gets the Tough Claw boost. Crunch, Tough Claw boost. Close Combat, Tough Claw boost. So Psychic Fangs is there primarily to be able to hit the Toxapex. It's going to be doing like a solid chunk of 40% if it is max defense. He does get that off very easily by just simply switching because it gets Regenerator. So but it is something that we can, so we're not completely walled by the Toxapex. That's basically the only reason why it's there, as well as being able to get rid of screens. So he could run screens on Espeon. If I can get super effective damage on the Toxapex and also remove screens all in one move, I think that's I think it's worth bringing. Crunch is there to be able to nuke the Houndstone. So this is to get super effective damage on the Houndstone, because if you notice, the reason we are Choice Scarf is to be able to outspeed it with in the sand. I'm totally out of order here because my kids are distracting me, I'm so sorry. But Close Combat's there for Tyranitar, Close Combat's there for Lucario, for Cloyster. A lot of Pokemon, it gets that super effective damage. It also does green neutral damage to Sandy Shocks because it does resist Stone Edge, so that's pretty solid. Now, EV spread wise, we have 252 in attack, 24 in defense, 232 in speed, running the Jolly nature. With the Choice Scarf, this thing outspeeds a Jolly max speed Houndstone in the sand by 1 point. So again, I don't think Houndstone's very good. I really truly don't. I'm not personally a fan of Houndstone. I think it's dog water. That's just my personal opinion. I will acknowledge the fact that if you slip up and you do not take account for it, or you do ignore it, then it will bend you over backwards. I do acknowledge that, but I do think as a Pokemon in Draft League, it is dog water. I simply, it just, I don't know. If I set up hazards, if I can get up my hazards and I can get simply 15%, I can get a little bit of chip on Houndstone, I literally can bring in Lycanroc while it comes in to try to sweep, and Lycanroc outspeeds by 1 point and it knocks it out with Crunch. So it still gets outsped in the sand. It's a Sand Rush abuser that is still slower than most common Scarfers. And so when I say common Scarfers, a good Scarfer, in my opinion, reaches that 110 speed tier. Like Lycanroc, like Gengar, like Screamtail, things of that nature. That speed tier is what I'm trying to get at. So Lycanroc outspeeds the Sand Rush abuser in the sand. So there's that. This is just to ensure we don't lose to Houndstone, but we do have to play it correctly. I do have to acknowledge that. Next Pokemon we have is the captain of the team. We have Annihilate. This week we are running the Annihilate set. I'm very excited. This will be the first of many times this season that we run this set. Why? Because it is the best Annihilate set by far. We have the Lumberry, the Defiant ability, Taunt, Rage Fist, Drain Punch, Bulk Up, 248 in HP, all of it in SPDEF, and the rest is in speed to kind of speed creep the things that want to speed creep us. This is here to ensure that the Toxapex can't do jack shit. Come in on Toxapex, click taunt, it can't do nothing. All it's gonna do literally is just boost up the Rage Fist power. For those who don't know, whenever you make contact or just hurt Annihilate, it boosts Rage Fist power by 50 points. The same as Last Respects. It starts at 50 base power. You do damage to Annihilate, goes to 100. Do damage to Annihilate, 150. It'll cap out at 350, which is actually 50 base power more than Last Respects, if I remember correctly. But this is here to literally bulk up, get all that health back, get all those boosts. Drain Punches to get health back, and then Taunt is there to ensure that we can't get toxic, or really the Toxapex can't do jack. Also, we don't necessarily want to try to set up on Bronzong because it is a psychic type, but we can do that as well. We are Terra Fairy, this is our Terra Captain, so in the event we do have to set up on Bronzong, we can. So we can basically switch our typing from Ghost Fighting to Fairy. It's not going to be the best thing in the world. I had to figure out what that moveset is, because if he does have a Steel type move, then it does super effective damage. So it's a 50-50. Bronzong probably is not going to be carrying dual stabs. We have to figure out what that moveset is before we can determine the opportunity to set up on Bronzong. But ideally we set up on Toxapex. Ideally we set up on Cloyster. Ideally we set up on Sandy Shocks, which would be pretty easy because we are max SPDEF. And then we can also primarily set up on Tyranitar, which is guaranteed to have to come to be SPDEF. It's a SPDEF Tyranitar, which means it's not an offensive one. And because of it's dark and rock typing, it literally, the fighting type Annihilate eats. It uses Tyranitar as setup fodder. If it ends up bringing a special Tyranitar, it doesn't matter because we're max SPDEF. We bulk up in its face, taunt it so it can't Thunder Wave us. If it's max speed, that means it's not as bulky. So we guarantee outspeed it if he doesn't have any speed investment. So Annihilate gets to set up on Tyranitar, Toxapex, and Bronzong. And in some cases, Cloyster and Sandy Shocks. 5 of his Pokemon get set up on an Annihilate. So now's the time for Annihilate to shine. We just have to find the opportunity to get Annihilate in safely and then start bulking up. Automatically win the game. Next Pokemon we have is Blissy making her debut. Blissy showing up with the Chople Berry because the Houndstone can run Body Press, and that does tickle just a little bit. So we have the Chople Berry to kind of mitigate that damage there. We got Thunder Wave, Soft Boil, Shadow Ball, and Seismic Toss. Seismic Toss and Thunder Wave, so Blissy can do what Blissy does best. Literally slow things down and do that 100 HP every single time. With Seismic Toss, it does fixed damage every time. So as long as it's not a ghost type, and then I can always do that fixed damage. And for the ghost types, aka Houndstone, which is why it's here, is Shadow Ball does super effective damage. He has to be a solid chunk of HP to not take like 40% from Shadow Ball. So I literally click it twice, then it's in range of all my priority that we brought in, or it's in range of 1 crunch. So if I get 1 Shadow Ball off, then I auto do not lose because I will keep Lycanroc in the back. If he lets me get 1 Shadow Ball off, then Lycanroc will always outspeed Houndstone and it'll kill it with crunch. So that's the idea behind this Blissy. So we went max defense, maxed out the defense, maxed out the HP, and ran the bold nature. This is here to just not let the Houndstone run Last Respects and go buck stupid crazy, because again, even though I think it's dog water, it can still do its thing if I'm not careful. And it also literally sits in front of the Sandy Shocks, and I can just click Seismic Toss and it literally does nothing to that Pokemon. So it also really comes in easily on the Espeon. I cannot Thunder Wave it though because of Magic Bounce, but that's a couple options that we have for us as well. Next one we got Grimmsnarl. I'm running a different Grimmsnarl this set. I may regret not running screens. I'm gonna be completely honest because this is a very good Annihilate bulk up matchup. So I don't know how I feel about this, but in theory, this also wins the game. The only Pokemon that Grimmsnarl cannot touch really is Toxapex, because Toxapex, if he's max defense, which he should be in this matchup, we don't really do that much with Thunder Punch on the initial hit. Like if we're +3 on bulk up, on +3 attack, it'll do like 60%, to be honest. But after a haze and removes all my stat boosts, then it won't kill the next one. He can just recover because we're not running taunt. So in theory, this actually gets walled by Toxapex, and we also get murdered by a Sludge Bomb. But if he so happened to not bring Toxapex, or the Toxapex is gone, Grimmsnarl wins the game. With priority bulk ups, being able to bulk up our defenses and our attacks before we get hit is very valuable in this matchup. Drain Punch is there for the same reason Drain Punch is on Annihilate, but does great damage to his team and allows us to recover. Sucker Punch is there to hit neutral things that resist Drain Punch and is also priority, so which means that it literally will smoke the Houndstone if I can get a +1, which is really, really nice, and it's going to be a priority, like I said, so it's going to hit it. He can sub all he wants, but there's no way for him to really boost. If he's a sub Will-O-Wisp set, that would be unfortunate, but then that's just like big brain stuff. Like, at what point can you, like, you can't prepare for everything. You know what I mean? I don't think Mephisto brings a Houndstone that's going to be sub Will-O-Wisp on a sweeping potential team matchup, in my personal opinion, so we'll see what he does there. Thunder Punch is there. Again, I explained it's going to be super effective damage on the Toxapex. It also does neutral damage to the Salamence, super effective damage to the Cloyster, but we most likely would be clicking Drain Punch on that, so mostly there for Toxapex. If Toxapex wasn't there, that Thunder Punch would probably be something else, probably Spirit Break, but I was gonna go screens. I ultimately think that this is a fantastic opportunity to let Grimmsnarl really set up and not win the game, but make Mephisto utilize a lot of resources to get out of it. So I think that this is gonna be a really good set. Also running Lumberry in case we get statused. Max Spadef, almost very similar to Ape. We have enough speed to outspeed Tyranitar, I believe, by 1 point if he's not speed invested, so we can hit him with the Drain Punch and knock that Pokemon out. So that's Grimmsnarl, so we'll see if that works out. Next mon we have is Orthworm making his debut. We got Shmidi showing up with the leftovers Earth Eater ability, which is broken on this Pokemon, basically removing it makes it immune to one of its weaknesses, being ground, and actually heals Orthworm, which is fantastic. We're running fucking Hazard, dude. If he does not bring Espeon, I am leading the worm and I am just gonna set him up because he cannot remove them, which is awesome. Stealth Rock, Spikes, Heavy Slam, Body Press. Heavy Slam does the most damage for its Steel Stab on the majority of Pokemon. It does less damage to Cloyster, but it does take super effective damage to Body Press. Everything else takes heavy damage from Heavy Slam. 240 in HP, 176 in defense, and 84 in speed and Spadef, running the Careful Nature. We have enough Spadef to not get 3-hit KO'd by a Shadow Ball from a max special attack Espeon, and we also live 3 Shadow Balls if one of the previous 2 Shadow Balls end up getting the Spadef drop. So very intricate EV set for the Spadef this week. The rest goes in defense. This Pokemon is so bulky with 145 base defense, like in mocks. It took a close combat. Did it take a close combat? It took a fighting type move from Lucario and chewed the hit. It also took a last respect from like 3 death Houndstone, so it chews hits and just gets damage off. But Orthworm's #1 priority of this matchup is to get up all of the hazards. If I can get all 3 spikes and the Stealth Rock up, then we are sitting pretty and allows Annihilate and Grimmsnarl to really go in on his team. Last up we have here is Donfan. I think this is the last one. Yeah, this is the last mon of the team. Donphan showing up, making his debut. One of my favorite Pokemon of the team. This is the captain of the team. This is an honorary member. I love Donphan. Donphan is such a cool Pokemon. We have Rapid Spin, Knockoff, Ice Spinner, and Earthquake. Running the Rocky Helmet. Sturdy ability this week, even though we're not running heavy duty boots, we don't have like that auto like don't lose button, but it could be a thing. We may run that 1 week, but we're running Rocky Helmet. This is the Pokemon dedicated to Salamence. I personally think Salamence kind of goes buck stupid nasty. I think like look at my team. If it's like mid game, if he gets 1 Dragon Dance up and if he's Moxie, I can't stop him. I can't stop it. So I have to run Donphan to not auto lose to Salamence. Like everything on the team, he only has to run Earthquake. He only has to run Fire type move to hit the to Orthworm, and everything else can be hit by his Dragon type stab and or a Flying type move like dual Wing Beat. So dual stabs plus Fire type move, or dual stabs plus something else to hit the Orthworm, and then he's sitting pretty. So whoa, I'm very afraid of that. Even though we could bring Intimidate on Coolfish, I don't think that Coolfish has the merit to come this week. So I'm sure he sees that. He's a very smart guy and a very fantastic battler. So he has to see the Salamence literally runs my butthole. Like runs my butthole. So this is here to be max defense, max HP, max defense, to chew a hit as best I possibly can. And then I click Ice Spinner and it's dead. If he wants to stay in, I basically on switching, if preferably on a dual wing beat, so he can take 2 rounds of Rocky Helmet, that would be ideal. I know he's not gonna stay in because I know that he knows that Donfan also gets Ice Shard. So we decided to go Ice Spinner because the smart thing to do would not leave your Salamence in on a Pokemon that gets 4 times super effective damage on a priority move. So he has to switch. No matter how many boosts he has, the smart thing to do is to switch. So Ice Spinner will do the most damage to whatever wants to come in. And so that way I can get a little bit more bang for my buck. If he happens to try to stay in, then Ice Spinner will kill him regardless. So it's kind of a no lose-lose. The only way that that scenario would kind of blow up in our face is if I didn't maintain Donphan. If I didn't hold Donphan in the back and he took chip damage, but if he's at full, that can go to fruition. If he's about to die to 2 rounds of dual wing beat or 2 rounds of outrage or Dragon Claw with like a +2 boost, then in that case we lose. We lose. So we have to keep Donphan in the back to ensure we don't lose to Salamence. Knockoff does super effective damage primarily to the Bronzong. Knockoff plus Earthquake on his team goes gross nasty. It literally covers his entire squad. Earthquake hits super duper fucking hard with Donphan. Donphan has 120 base attack. Don't sleep on Donphan offensively. I will bring Donphan offensively. This Pokemon is so freaking good. Rapid Spin is to ensure that we remove hazards on our side in case he wants to set them up, and that way he can't stop them. He does have Houndstone to bring in, but if he wants to bring in Houndstone to block my spin, I will knock that Pokemon off, and it puts it in range of Crunch from Lycanroc. So that's the team, guys. Let me know what y'all think down in the comment section below. A little bit of a longer one today. I wanted to say my gratitude for the 1,000 subscribers. Yeah, I'm a little flustered. I'm afraid of the matchup because I hate these kinds of games. So I will say this out loud. I didn't want to because I don't want to put that on in the universe, right? I don't want God to listen to me and be like, oh, you said it. So I hate matchups where it seems like I should win. I don't like them. You know, like when you have the matchup where you're like, oh, this is actually really good and I match up really, really well. I have a lot of checks to his offensive pieces. Aside from Salamence, I literally check everything. Everything on his team is contained. Everything can be managed except for Salamence if I'm not careful. So ideally, on paper, I should win this game. And so therefore, it makes me very nervous and I overthink and I lose. So even though we did come up a little bit short against Amol, I literally was 1 move away. I won that game if I simply put a move to hit the freaking Zoroark, whether that was Night Slash or Terra Blast Fairy, either or, and I win that game, or we're 1-0. So that's how the BBR is gonna be. If I lose this game, we're not in a bad spot. We have 8 weeks. We're not in a bad spot. We can still crawl out of it. So I do feel the pressures this week more than last week. I don't know. Like, I hate these kinds of matchups. I have to trust my ability and how skilled I am as a battler, and I do believe I am skilled. I just get in my own head, and I'm already getting in my own head before the matchup starts. So I have to make sure that I'm dialed in, and we at least bring this game to be what it can be, and go from there. But let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Leave your thoughts. I'm happy to chat with you guys down there, and I'll explain a little bit more if you have another question. And yeah, that's all I got, guys. I'm gonna stop talking. Y'all have a great rest of your day. I will see you tomorrow for the matchup. And take care of yourself. Above all else, be nice. Peace.